Discover the incredible journey of a homeless man, 3 hidden skills that changed lives forever. Jack was a veteran, but now he was just a ghost wandering the vibrant streets of the city he once called home. Skyscrapers towered above him, casting long shadows over his life. He had lost his job and with it, his family. Memories of his daughter haunted him. They felt like shards of glass in his heart. Every moment spent on the streets was a battle against hunger, against loneliness, and against the sneering judgments of passers-by. But Jack had some hidden talents that tugged at the corners of his tragic story: woodworking, storytelling, and mentoring kids at a local community center. In a park one sunny afternoon, Jack sat cross-legged on the grass, carving a piece of cedar into something beautiful. The rhythm of his knife in the wood felt comforting, like a heartbeat. Suddenly, laughter cut through the tranquility. A group of kids surrounded a smaller boy, taunting him. Jack's heart raced. This was a moment he couldn't ignore. He stood up and approached, drawing the children's attention. "Hey there. You know, back in my day, we didn't pick on the little guys. We picked them up." Jack's voice was strong, but his hands trembled slightly. The kids paused, curiosity sparking in their eyes. Jack launched into a story about a knight who saved a kingdom by showing compassion, turning their laughter into a lesson about kindness and resilience. Slowly, the kids began to listen, captivated by his words. Hope flickered inside him as he realized he wasn't just seen as a homeless man anymore, he was a storyteller, a mentor. Those children began to seek him out, ready to learn the craft of woodworking, to listen to his tales filled with empathy and courage. Jack felt a warmth he thought had long faded, the joy of making a difference, however small. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the annual community gala approached, Jack thought of showcasing his craft. He crafted a beautiful wooden sculpture, an abstract piece symbolizing broken relationships and the hope for healing. The day arrived, and as Jack entered the gala space, his heart raced with trepidation. Polished professionals and upscale vendors filled the room, their chatter like a thunderstorm. Jack felt invisible, fighting against the crowd's indifference. Tensions bubbled as local authorities grew concerned about his presence. Would they kick him out? Deep down, Jack wrestled with a painful decision: pursue validation through his art or attempt to reach out and reconnect with his estranged daughter, who was fighting her own battles. Then, just as Jack unveiled his sculpture, a stunning piece filled with emotion, the world around him dimmed. The crowd hushed. That's when she appeared. His daughter, eyes wide with shock and emotion, stood at the edge of the room. Jack's heart pounded. As their gazes met, a question echoed in the silence: could this moment redefine their lives? In that instant, everything changed. Jack faced his past and the uncertain future, longing for resolution, but unsure what path to take. Jack's breath caught in his throat as he stared at her. For a moment, the vibrant colors of the room faded into a muted haze. Memories rushed back: her laughter, the way she used to cling to his leg when she was little, her tiny hands clutching his fingers like they were made of gold. Emma, she was still the light of his life, even in this moment of darkness. He took a hesitant step towards her, but she seemed frozen in place. Jack could see the storm of emotions swirling in her eyes. Fear, anger, confusion, all tangled with a flicker of hope. "Emma," he whispered, his voice breaking. I didn't know you'd come." The crowd had melted away around them, leaving just the two of them under dimmed lights. Jack's heart raced. This wasn't just about the sculpture anymore. This moment could shift everything. "I was curious," she finally said, her voice barely audible. "I heard about the gala. You made that?" She gestured at the sculpture, and Jack could see her eyes soften just slightly. It's beautiful. He felt a surge of pride and trepidation. I wanted to show that even broken things can hold beauty. He took another deep breath, searching her face for a sign of understanding. Just like our family. Emma's expression hardened at that. You can't just say that and expect me to forgive you. Where were you all those years? The pain in her voice hit him like a punch to the gut. Every word rested heavy between them, each syllable a reminder of the chasm that had formed over the years. Jack shifted, fighting against the instinct to retreat. I know I made mistakes. I was lost. I am lost. But I'm trying to find my way back. Trying isn't good enough, she replied, bitterness lacing her tone. You can't just waltz in after everything and expect me to. Emma, he interrupted gently. I don't expect anything. I just want a chance to talk. I miss you. He took a small step closer, the space between them charged with vulnerability and fear. I miss us. She glanced down, her breath shaky. Jack watched as the walls around her heart flickered ever so slightly. The tension in the air felt like a tightrope, teetering between potential reconciliation and lingering resentment. For a moment, silence enveloped them. Jack fought against the urge to fill it with light chatter, words that would dismiss the rawness between them. Instead, he stood firm, waiting for her to meet his gaze again. Finally, she spoke, almost in a whisper. You chose to leave. The accusation hung there, heavy and sharp. He took another breath, willing his heart to stay steady. I chose poorly. Every day since, I've wished I could change it. I know it doesn't excuse anything, but I want to be better, for you. For me too. As her eyes searched his, a flicker of something softened the harsh lines of her face, a catalyst for unspoken feelings. Do you even know how to be better? She asked, her defenses still up but just a hint of curiosity threading through. Jack felt the warmth of hope envelop him, if only for a moment. This was the crux of it, the chance to mend their broken pieces. I'm learning, he replied, determination rising in his chest. And I'll show you. Before he could finish, she stepped back, shaking her head. It's not that easy, Dad, but he felt the energy shift. The teasing grace of a chance unfolded between them as he bit his lip and gathered courage. Maybe it doesn't have to be easy, maybe it just has to start somewhere, right? Emma hesitated, looking at him with a mix of uncertainty and suppressed yearning. Jack felt the swell of hope rising again, but it was a fragile hope, like the thread of a spider's web. Could this fragile connection lead to something more? What if she began, hesitating again? What if we start with talking? Jack's heart leaped in his chest. A flicker of what had once been a flame snuffed out but now yearning to spark to life again. I'd like that, he said softly, a smile breaking through. Then, just as everything seemed within reach, a sharp voice broke the moment. Sir, we need to ask you to leave. A security guard approached, eyes stern. Jack's heart sank again. The ghosts of his past came rushing back, reminding him of how easily it could slip away. Wait. Just give me a moment. He shouted, desperation clawing at his throat. Emma hesitated, glancing between him and the guard. Would she stay? Would she retreat again into the shadows of hurt? Just before she made a decision, a moment of pause hung in the air, leaving Jack breathless. Would this chance slip away like all the others? Would the walls he'd begun to melt just freeze again, leaving them both isolated in their pain? As he faced the guard, anxiety churning within, their fate now rested in the balance. Panic washed over Jack like a tidal wave. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him, threatening to crush anything he had just begun to build with Emma. The guard's sunglasses glinted under the soft lights, a stark reminder of unyielding authority. Sir, please, the guard repeated, stepping forward as if to escort Jack away from the remnants of his shattered dreams. You can't loiter here. Jack's mind scrambled for words, and in that desperate silence, he turned his plea back to Emma. Just give me a minute. Please. His voice cracked, thick with emotion. He had fought too hard for this moment. Time stopped as Emma's eyes searched his. He saw anger flicker there, but underneath it, a glimmer of something else, a shared anguish. Her mouth opened, as if she might say something, but no words came. Jack could only watch as her resolve wavered. "I'm sorry," he blurted out suddenly. "I'm sorry for everything I put you through. For leaving, for not being there for all the times you needed me and I wasn't." Each word felt like a step deeper into the chasm, but he pressed on. "You deserved so much better." "Words don't change the past," she fired back, but Jack could see her defenses crumbling around the edges. The guard hovered, fingers twitching at his belt, but he only had eyes for Emma. "Please, just let me show you, let me prove I want to be part of your life again." It was not a promise, just a fragile beginning, a chance to mend the pain. "I don't want to be the dad who disappeared. I want to be the dad you can count on." The air crackled as he reached for her, desperate for any sign of connection. Would she let him? The crowd around them buzzed, but the world had faded, leaving just the two of them and this raw, unguarded moment. "Emma," he breathed, heart racing, "can we try? Can we just talk, like you said?" Finally, she took a step closer. The corner of her mouth twitched. For a fleeting heartbeat, hope flickered between them like a fragile candle, ready to be snuffed out or ignited. So close, but the moment shattered beneath the weight of the guard's voice, breaking through the intimate silence. "We really need to move this along, sir. It's policy." Jack felt Emma's presence shift as she turned, her countenance darkening, and he silently begged for her to stay. "Emma, don't just go," she said, a harsh edge to her voice. "Just go back to who you were. I can't deal with this right now." Those words were a dagger in his heart, a stark reality that tore through the flicker of vulnerability he had just seen. She stepped back, leaving behind the ghost of what could have been. He watched her retreat, receding into the haze of the crowd. His hopes, once buoyed by the spark of connection, crumbled into nothingness like chalk dust on a sidewalk. "Sir, you need to come with me," the guard urged more forcefully, breaking Jack from his reverie. But he didn't move. His body felt heavy with regret, each muscle locked in place. "Just give me a moment," he shouted again, desperation filling his voice as anger and sadness swirled within. A loud silence settled, and the world felt unbearably empty around him. He wanted to chase after her, to reach out and grasp the growing distance, to make her understand. But did he even know how to begin that journey now? The guard stepped closer, and Jack felt the moment slipping away, leaving him in a whirlwind of lost chances and shattered dreams. As he turned to face the guard, full of uncertainty, he thought about Emma, about their future. Had he truly lost her forever? "Will she even remember this?" he muttered. "Or will I just be another faded memory?" But just then, he caught a glimpse of Emma's silhouette through the swirling crowd. Would she really walk away? Or did a part of her still want to hold on? And in that moment of stillness, Jack felt a storm brewing, not of anger but of determination. "I won't give up," he declared quietly, ready to fight for the connection that had just begun to form. But how would he find her again, amidst the thrumming heartbeat of the gala? Would the chance to mend their bond slip away like grains of sand in an hourglass? Jack pushed through the crowd, his heart pounding. Every familiar face blurred into an indistinct haze as he searched for Emma. Each footstep echoed the weight of his decisions, a rhythm of fear and hope battling within him. The gala lights shimmered around him, illuminating paths he desperately needed to follow, yet the shadows of doubt loomed large. "Stay focused," he murmured to himself. This was bigger than just him. It was about Emma, their chance to reconnect and rebuild everything that had been broken. As he scanned the tables piled high with lavish decorations and glistening glassware, he felt panic rise again. What if he lost her for good? He reached the edge of the ballroom, breathless. A part of him had thought he'd find her instantly, but the crowd ebbed and flowed like a river, and his resolve wavered. Confusion swirled within him. How could he have walked away with only regret and no answers? "Excuse me," he called out to a waitress passing by with a tray of champagne flutes. "Have you seen a girl? She has dark hair and was wearing a blue dress." The waitress shook her head, concern flickering in her eyes. "Sorry, sir. I've been pretty busy." Jack offered a weak smile, appreciating her politeness. Just then, he caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of his eye. A figure with dark hair slipped through the crowd, and Jack's heart jolted. "Emma!" he yelled, not caring about the murmurs of surprised onlookers that he sprinted after her, his breath quickening. He moved through clusters of guests, pushing past laughter and chatter until he finally reached the entrance, where the cool night air held an unexpected calm, but Emma was nowhere in sight. What remained were just passers-by and the muffled music behind him, fading into solitude. No, no. Panic clenched at him, squeezing the air from his lungs. He felt a pang of despair, his spirit aching from the thought of her disappearing from his life again. Just as he was about to turn back inside, a quiet voice broke through the din. "Jack." It was soft and tentative. He turned, and there she was, standing near the edge of the sidewalk, illuminated by the streetlight, her expression a mix of confusion and vulnerability. "Emma, you're here." Relief washed over him, drowning out the panic. "Why are you following me?" she asked, her voice tight, but he could see the flicker of something below the surface. "I told you to go. I can't just let this end like this," he said, his chest heaving with effort. "I want to explain. I want you to understand that I mean it. I want a chance." Emma's eyes narrowed slightly, wrestling with emotions. "You think it's that easy? Just to come back and act like everything is fine? What you did, it hurt, Jack." "I know," he admitted, the words spilling out. "I can't change what happened. But I can change what happens next. I want to earn your trust again. I want to be there for you." She stayed silent, a knot of thoughts and feelings held tight. Jack watched as her brow furrowed, frustration glimmering there alongside the lingering hope. They were standing on the brink of something fragile and raw. "Just tell me how you really feel," she finally said, her voice steadier now. Jack hesitated. His usual bravado cracked under the weight of vulnerability. "I feel scared of losing you for good. I wish I had made different choices. I want to be the dad you can depend on, not the ghost you remember." Emma's gaze softened as the tension hung between them, a last barrier threatening to crumble. "I don't know if I can," she whispered, clearly torn, the conflict on her face laid bare. "Would it help if we just started small?" Jack offered, hope threading through his voice. "We could grab coffee, talk about anything. I just want a chance to show you I've changed." He held his breath, the air taut with her silence. Would she take that step forward with him or retreat once more into the unknown? The moment stretched long, and he could feel his pulse echoing in his ears. In a world of uncertainty, would they find a way back to each other, or was this where their journey ended? His thoughts spun with a mix of hope and fear, the question hanging in the air like a delicate thread waiting to be tugged. Would she trust him again? Emma's hesitation hung heavy in the air, like a thick fog threatening to envelop them both. Jack could see the internal battle waging in her eyes, and it made his chest ache. "Just coffee," he repeated softly. "Just two people trying to figure things out. No pressure." She seemed to melt a little at his suggestion, her shoulders loosening. But doubt still clouded her expression. "What if I can't forgive you?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "Then we'll take it day by day," Jack replied, his tone earnest. "Every step back towards something real. I just don't want to lose you again. I need to try." He watched as her brow furrowed, as if she were weighing his words against all the hurt that had come before. The streetlight flickered, casting jittery shadows against the concrete, mirroring the turmoil within them. Jack took a cautious step toward her, letting the distance shrink between them. "Emma, please just give me a chance. In that moment, he saw the flicker of something else in her eyes, hesitation slowly giving way to curiosity. Okay, coffee, she whispered finally, almost as if she couldn't believe she was saying it. Jack felt a rush of warmth spreading through him. Hope surged, filling the void that had threatened to swallow him whole. Great. How about tomorrow morning? There's a diner just down the street, 7 a.m. She interrupted, a hint of a challenge in her tone. He chuckled nervously. Yeah, bright and early. Emma crossed her arms, looking down for a moment before meeting his gaze again. I'll think about it, she said, a small smile breaking through her earlier angst. It was a small victory, but it was a start. I'll take it, Jack replied, unable to contain his grin. He felt lighter somehow, each breath easier, filled with possibility. They had taken a step into the unknown, and that alone felt monumental. Suddenly, she glanced past him toward the entrance of the gala, and her eyes widened. Oh no! Jack turned to see a pair of familiar faces emerging from the crowd, his old friends from college who had no business being here, especially not when his life felt like it was on shaky ground. Jack! Is that you? One of them called out, waving enthusiastically. Jack felt a flush of embarrassment. He didn't want to share this moment with anyone else. This was for him and Emma, and nobody else. He looked back at Emma, a silent plea in his expression. But she had straightened her posture, the vulnerability slipping away as resolve took its place. Maybe we should, she hesitated, her eyes darting to the approaching friends. No, Jack said quickly, shaking his head. Wait. Just give me a second. He took a step closer to Emma, powerful urgency coursing through him. Please. Can we just own this moment? I don't want anyone else in the picture. Just us. The warmth in her gaze faltered for a moment, and Jack felt his stomach drop. Would she pull away now, or could they hold on to this fragile moment just a little longer before the world rushed in? As the laughter drew nearer, Emma took a deep breath. Okay. Just a minute. He reached out, grabbing her hand briefly, feeling electricity at the contact. It was a promise. A spark of hope reigniting in the darkness surrounding them. But he could feel the encroaching presence of his friends behind him, laughter ringing like an alarm clock, reminding him of who he used to be. The past stared at them defiantly, unaware of the battles he had chosen to fight. Would the world accept the new Jack, the one who stood before Emma, vulnerable and determined? Or would it drown them both in judgments and social expectations before they had a chance to find their way back? Fear twisted in his gut, but he steadied himself for what was coming. Stay with me, Emma, he whispered, still clinging to hope. But as footsteps approached, he wondered whether their tomorrow would be clouded by the weight of the lives they had once lived or the bright promise of what might be. What would her answer be when the past collided with their fragile step toward the future? The laughter drew closer, filling the air with a lightness that felt foreign in that moment. Jack turned slightly, his heart pounding, fearing how the arrival of his friends would shatter the delicate connection he was beginning to forge with Emma. Memories rushed through him, moments of camaraderie, late-night discussions, and the easy laughter that echoed in the halls back in college. But now, all of that felt overshadowed by the weight of his attempt to rebuild something so precious. Emma brushed her hair back, the movement almost instinctual, and Jack could sense her retreating into herself. The openness they had just shared felt fragile now, hovering on the edge of being swept away by the tide of familiar faces and casual banter. Jack. You remember Mike, right? And this is Sarah, his friend called out, oblivious to the tension coiling in Jack's stomach. The duo approached with an air of enthusiasm that made Jack want to shrink back. Hey! Of course, I do. Jack answered with forced cheer. Good to see you guys. The words felt wooden on his tongue, the warmth of their reunion dampened by the urgency of the moment with Emma. As the two friends closed in, Jack caught Emma's eyes, pleading silently. Don't let this moment go. Stay here with me. He willed that to her. But she was already retreating within herself, her smile fading as she shifted her gaze to the ground. "What brings you out tonight?" Sarah chirped, oblivious as she gestured to the gala. "Just catching up with some old friends," Jack replied, his voice almost drowned out by the chatter around him. He wanted to turn away from them, to pull Emma closer, but the laughter and lightness of his friends filled the space between them. He glanced at Emma again, noticing the tight line of her mouth, the way her shoulders had slumped ever so slightly. "Emma, this is Mike and Sarah," he introduced, trying to keep the mood light. "They've known me since, well, the less complicated days." "It's nice to meet you," Emma forced out, her voice a mere shadow of her earlier enthusiasm. She looked up briefly but quickly turned her gaze back down, the momentary flicker of courage swallowed by doubt. The familiar banter filled the air. Jack forced himself to respond, but his mind was racing, a constant battle playing out. How could he make this work? How could he bridge the gap that had widened over the years? Every moment felt like quicksand, and he was terrified that if he stepped wrong, he would pull Emma down with him. "So, what have you been up to, man?" Mike asked, catching Jack's eye with the eagerness of an old friend wanting to reconnect. Jack opened his mouth, ready to answer, but the words caught in his throat. He could hear Emma's breathing quicken beside him, an echo of his own anxiety. "I'm, just trying to get my life back together," he finally said, keeping it vague yet honest. "It's been a journey." "Sounds heavy, dude." "You should lighten up," Mike joked, slapping him on the back. The laughter followed, and in that moment, it felt like an unseen wall rose between Jack and Emma, pushing them further apart. "I think I need to." Emma's voice sliced through the moment, quiet yet resolute, pulling Jack's attention back to her. He could see the determination in her eyes as she began to step back, the decision firming in her mind. "I think I need to go," she said finally, her tone cutting through the laughter like a knife. All eyes turned toward her, surprise flickering across faces, but Jack focused solely on Emma. The world around them faded into a blur as dread pooled in his stomach. "Wait, Emma. Please." But she was already turning away, leaving him with a feeling of desperation eclipsing every moment they had just shared. Could he reach her before she vanished into the crowd? Would he be able to unravel the threads of their past and create something new, or would he lose her all over again? As Emma disappeared into the throngs of partygoers, Jack felt the weight of her absence more than ever, a chasm opening wide. He couldn't let this slip away, not now, not when they were so close. "Emma!" He called, but his voice was lost in the noise. The moment hung in the air, heavy and unyielding. The question lingered: would he have the courage to chase after her, to truly fight for what was slipping through his fingers? And just as he took his first step to follow her, a sound pulled him back, a sudden commotion spinning into the party that threw everything into chaos. Jack's heart raced as he turned toward the unexpected noise. The sound was jarring, a clatter of chairs, the shouts of startled guests. It cut through the laughter like a siren. For a fleeting moment, chaos obscured everything: the laughter, the lights, the chatter that had a moment ago felt so cozy. "What is going on?" Mike asked, eyes darting around. Jack barely registered Mike's words. His mind was fixated on Emma's retreating figure, already lost amid the crowd. But he couldn't ignore the brewing storm unfolding near the entrance. A group of partygoers had formed a tight cluster, their laughter replaced by worried murmurs. "Let's check it out," Sarah suggested, pulling Mike along. Jack hesitated. Everything in him screamed to rush after Emma, but curiosity drew him closer to the scene. He moved slightly to the side, straining to see over the heads in front of him. Then he saw it: a man, disheveled and with dirt-smudged cheeks, stood at the entrance. He was clutching a worn cardboard sign that read, "Need help? Please." The shift in energy made Jack take a step back, though he felt an invisible pull toward the man's plight. The guests around him shifted uncomfortably, a wall of confusion washed over them. Some averted their gaze, while others murmured among themselves, exchanging awkward glances. "Who invited him?" someone whispered. Jack's heart sank. The man's presence, stark against the glamour of the gala, was too raw, too real. In this world of polished suits and shimmering dresses, the man was a stark reminder of the struggles so many faced beyond the walls of the lavish event. Through the waves of whispers, Jack caught glimpses of the man's eyes, empty yet hopeful. It was a silent plea that stirred something within him. Suddenly, the weight in his chest felt heavier. He glanced back toward where Emma had been standing. And he hesitated once more, torn between the connection he was desperate to restore and the humanity directly in front of him. "You okay?" Mike's voice brought him back. Jack turned, still entranced by the stranger. "We should probably get out of here." But something ignited deep in Jack's gut. He couldn't just turn away. Not now. Not when it felt like the whole world was shifting under his feet. "No," he said firmly, surprising himself. "I think I need to help him." "What are you talking about?" Mike raised an eyebrow, clearly bewildered. The moment felt surreal. His friends were oblivious, the laughter, the gala, all reduced to background noise. Jack took a breath, scanning the group surrounding the man. "We can't just ignore him. He's asking for help. See man. It's not our problem," Mike replied lightly, shrugging it off. Jack clenched his jaw. This was so much more than a hitch in the evening. It felt like a crossroads, a pivotal point in his choices. He could either continue the merry farce of a glamorous life or lean into the unvarnished truth standing right in front of him. The chaos of his current life, his past with Emma, the dissonance at the party, the longing in his heart flew into sharp focus. Biting back his instinct to retreat, Jack took a step forward. "You know what? I'm going to talk to him." He didn't wait for Mike's response. Pushing through the crowd, he moved toward the man. Emotions twirled in his stomach, a hesitant mixture of dread and determination. When he reached the man, he noticed the sharp lines of worry etched on his face, the resignation in his posture. "Hey," Jack began, his voice steadier than he felt. "Can I help you?" The man blinked, surprise flickering in his eyes, then hesitance replaced it. I need a place to stay. Just for tonight." The rawness of those words struck Jack hard. They echoed more than just a desire for shelter, they were a testament to every fragmented dream, every moment of desperation. Jack opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, a hand fell on his shoulder. He turned to find Emma, her face a mask of determination. "Jack, wait. You don't know what you're getting into," she said urgently. And in that moment, as their eyes locked, Jack could feel the pulse of the unresolved between them, the magnetic tension that drew him forward while also grounding him in the reality behind them. A choice wasn't just unfolding around them but also within him. The irony didn't escape him, they were both searching for something, in completely different ways, but maybe, just maybe, it could still lead to the same place. Would he be brave enough to embrace this new path with Emma at his side? Or would this night spiral into chaos, driving them further apart? The urgency of their choices hung palpably in the air. Jack felt the weight of Emma's words settle around them like a thick fog. Her presence, both a comfort and a jolt to his heart, reminded him of everything that had been left unsaid, all the paths they hadn't taken. The moment stretched, heavy with uncertainty. The man stood before them, quietly waiting for Jack's response. His disheveled appearance contrasted starkly with the gleaming gowns and tuxedos of the gala-goers behind him. Jack swallowed hard, feeling the mounting pressure of the onlookers' eyes, some filled with concern, others with indifference, all amplifying the ache in his soul. "Jack, listen," Emma pressed, her voice steady but laced with urgency. "You don't know this guy. He could be dangerous." Dangerous. That word hung in the air, swirling like the laughter that danced awkwardly in the background. Jack knew the risks, but the desperation in the man's eyes felt raw and real, unlike any superficial threat looming over them. "I have to try, Emma," Jack said, grounding himself in a hasty resolution. "It's not about knowing him. It's about what he's asking for: human connection, maybe even compassion. She hesitated, her brow furrowing as she weighed her own instincts against his. And what if you get burned? What if this leads to something you regret? Jack took a deep breath, searching for the right words. Regret? I think I regret walking away. I need to know if I can make a difference, even just in one person's life. For a moment, Emma seemed to soften, perhaps sensing the sincerity in his voice. But reason flickered in her eyes, the kind of cautious love that had always grounded him. Just be careful, okay? Turning back to the man, whose face now showed a glimmer of appreciation, Jack continued. I can help. How can I help you? What do you need? The man's gaze was steady but filled with a hint of disbelief. I just need a warm place. Just one night. It's cold and I've been out here for too long. His voice cracked. Jack nodded, determination hardening inside him. I know a place. A shelter not far from here. It's good. You'll be safe there. Mike stepped forward, incredulous. Are you serious? You're just going to take him to a shelter? Just like that? Jack turned on Mike, frustration flaring. What do you want me to do? Stand here and chat about it while he freezes? You said it yourself, we can't ignore him. The tension surged through the air as Jack felt the small crowd's eyes flickering between him and the man. But he didn't care about their judgment, his instinct was to act, to reach out. Come on, Jack urged, glancing at the man, let us get you inside somewhere warm. As he turned to lead the way, he felt Emma gently grip his arm, her presence anchoring him. Jack, please let me come with you. We can do this together. A wave of warmth washed over him at her offer. It was unexpected. They had both been so lost in their own worlds, drifting apart when they should have been reaching for each other. Maybe this was a turn towards something hopeful. Okay, he said softly, meeting her gaze. Together. They walked side by side, the man trailing behind them, the three of them weaving through the stunned crowd. Jack felt a bond grow, not just between him and Emma, but extending toward the man they were helping. As they stepped outside, the cold air hit like a splash of reality. Jack glanced back at Emma, who wore an uncertain smile, mirroring his own mix of hope and apprehension. The man's worn shoes scuffed against the pavement. Every step felt heavy with the weight of choices, but Jack felt lighter knowing he was moving towards something meaningful, a chance to mend not just another's heart, but perhaps his own in the process. Where are we going? The man asked, breaking their silence. Jack nodded toward the street ahead. There's warmth and safety waiting for you. Just a little further. And as they began walking, Jack wondered, what surprises lay in store at the end of this journey? Would they really find a new beginning together? The night had just begun, and somewhere between fear and faith was the endless potential for change. As they walked, the streetlights flickered to life, casting a soft glow on the pavement, illuminating their path. Jack felt a strange sense of purpose swelling inside him. Each step was a mix of trepidation and hope, and he could sense Emma's presence beside him, her warmth suffusing the chilly air. What's your name? Jack asked the man after a quiet moment. Leo, the man replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Nice to meet you, Leo. I'm Jack, and this is Emma, Jack said, gesturing to her. As they approached the shelter, Jack's heart raced. He wondered what Leo's life had been like before this moment. Had he always struggled? How many nights had he spent under the stars, battling the cold and the loneliness? Do you have family? Emma asked, her voice gentle. Leo shook his head, a shadow flickering across his face. Not anymore. Lost them a long time ago. That brief revelation hung heavy in the air, squeezing at Jack's heart. I'm really sorry, Emma said, her compassion unmistakable. If you don't mind my asking, how did you end up out here? Leo hesitated, pulling his worn jacket tighter around his body. Just didn't he have a choice? Lost my job, then it just spiraled. No one really notices, you know. A knot formed in Jack's stomach. He had often brushed past homeless individuals, thinking they were just a part of the urban landscape, something to avoid. But tonight, this conversation was pulling back the curtain on a reality he had refused to see. And now? What do you want? Jack nudged gently, trying to keep the conversation flowing. Leo looked up, his blue eyes teeming with a mix of hope and despair. Just a chance, a real chance to start over. They arrived at the shelter, and Jack pushed the door open, holding it wide. An inviting warmth greeted them, but it didn't erase the lingering cold that pressed into Leo's bones. Inside, the familiar hum of a busy night office filled their ears. A handful of volunteers bustled about, directing people, handing out food, and smiling reassuringly. The atmosphere felt almost festive, a flicker of kindness in an often unforgiving world. Leo looked around, disbelief painting his features. Is this really happening? He whispered, glancing back at Jack and Emma. It is, Emma said, her eyes shining. You're safe here. Jack felt a warm swell in his chest as Leo slowly stepped forward. For the first time, Leo's posture seemed less defeated. There was a sliver of something, maybe hope, beginning to shine through the layers of despair. Let us find you a spot, Jack offered, taking a step toward the reception area where a kind-faced woman smiled back at them. Yet, just as they moved closer, Jack noticed a group of men whispering to one another nearby. They looked tough, hardened by life's challenges, and their gaze shifted toward Leo, assessing him like they were ready to judge. A wave of concern washed over Jack. Stay close, he advised Leo, sensing the unspoken tension in the room. Leo nodded, his eyes wide as they found themselves caught in this small pocket of uncertainty. Emma squeezed Jack's hand gently, the connection grounding him through the distraction. They could be protective, she whispered, leaning in. But let us make sure he feels welcome. Jack took a deep breath. Was he ready for whatever turbulence lay ahead? This is about him, he reminded himself. But as Leo approached the desk, Jack realized that their small act of kindness had drawn them into something bigger. The moment felt electric, alive with potential. Would Leo find acceptance despite the judgments? Could they all leave with more than just a night of warmth? As Jack braced for whatever followed, he felt the palpable energy of change swirling around them, and it was suffused with both anxiety and possibility. And above it all hung one question: was this just the beginning of Leo's journey, or might it lead to something deeper, something that would change them all forever? The atmosphere inside the shelter buzzed with a mixture of hope and anxiety, resonating through Jack's chest as he followed Leo and Emma. They approached the reception desk, where a warm smile greeted them. Jack felt the knot of tension in his stomach slowly begin to unravel as Leo filled out the necessary paperwork, each scribbled letter appearing as a stepping stone toward a new path. Do you have any personal belongings? The receptionist asked. Leo hesitated, then shook his head. No, just this. He gestured to a frayed backpack slung over his shoulder. Jack could see the flicker of vulnerability in Leo's eyes, a man trying to reclaim his dignity amongst the chaos of his reality. As they waited, Emma nudged Jack, whispering, "He's so brave, you know? Taking this step." Jack nodded, admiration swelling inside him. Leo was vulnerable yet defiant, like a flower trying to bloom in a cracked sidewalk. After the paperwork was done, the receptionist led Leo to a small room on the right, filled with cots and the comforting hum of quiet conversations. He turned to Jack, uncertainty mingling with gratitude in his expression. "Thank you," Leo said softly, and in that moment, Jack felt the weight of kindness ripple through him like a warm wave. "Just take it day by day," Jack replied, words spilling out like they held the power of transformation. "You're not alone now." Leo's face broke into a tentative smile, a light glimmering in his eyes where despair had once lingered. Emma squeezed Jack's hand tighter, and he turned to her, their eyes locking in unspoken understanding. Perhaps this experience, this very moment, was more than helping Leo. It was a chance for both of them to confront their fears, to discover how intertwined their lives had become. After ensuring Leo was comfortably settled, they stepped outside into the cool night air, amazed by the shift they had just witnessed. Jack felt lighter, like he had shed a heavy coat. "I can't believe how impactful that was," he breathed, looking at Emma. "I thought I'd be the one helping him, but it feels different, like we're all in this together." Emma nodded, her features softening. "We've both been lost in our own lives. Maybe this is a beginning for all of us." A side road filled with choices. As they strolled down the street, Jack felt a tug in his heart, the familiar ache of what he had missed. But this time, it carried with it a sense of liberation and knowing that they had taken a step towards healing. "I was so afraid to reach out. I thought if I helped Leo, I'd be overwhelmed by my own past," he confessed. Emma looked at him, eyes brimming with compassion. "But you didn't shy away. You chose to confront it. That makes both of us braver." They shared a small laugh, a moment of connection weaving itself back together. Suddenly, a thought struck Jack. What about Leo's family? Who does he have? He asked quietly, memories rushing through him. "That's what struck me too," Emma replied pensively. "Sometimes it only takes one kind moment to change someone's life, to make them believe that they're worth caring for." Her words resonated like music, and against the backdrop of the city, Jack felt renewed purpose flowing back into him. As they reached the diner they had discussed earlier, Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement brewing in his chest. "Coffee?" he asked, glancing at Emma's eager smile. "How about we take that first small step together?" "Yeah," she agreed warmly, "let us take it hour by hour, moment by moment." Inside the cozy diner, the smell of coffee and fresh pastries enveloped them, a comforting embrace amidst the uncertain world outside. They settled into a booth, and with every sip, laughter bubbled between them, cascaded like a soft melody, each note rebuilding their connection. "Remember our late-night talks?" Jack asked, his gaze settling on Emma's face, the sincerity lacing his words. "We can bring that back. The real us." "I'd like that," she smiled, lighting up the room more radiant than the diner's neon signs. And in that moment, something shifted. It was as if the universe recognized their willingness to embrace change, to evolve, and they were met with a warmth that reminded them they were both worthy of love and second chances. The shadows of their pasts began to dissipate, swept away by the newfound light that radiated from honest conversations and shared dreams. As they walked out of the diner later that evening, hand in hand, Jack looked around. The street glowed under the moonlight, brimming with possibilities. They were ready to face whatever came next, together. He could feel the yearnings of both their hearts blending, and in that acceptance, lay a world they had yet to explore. "No matter what happens," Jack said, turning to Emma, "I promise I'll keep trying. For us, for Leo, whatever it takes." Emma's smile widened, the warmth shining in her eyes. Together, she echoed back, their hearts beating in sync. As they walked forward into the night, ready for the adventures waiting ahead, both heart and dreams soared. Jack realized that every step toward healing, a chance to rebuild, reform, and reconnect was worth pursuing. Life's journey was just beginning, and he felt alive, every part of him ignited by hope and love. The path ahead remained uncertain, but it was theirs to carve. And in that blossoming embrace of newfound strength and connection, Jack felt ready to face whatever life would throw at him next. His story no longer a tale of sorrow or shadows but a breathtaking journey of love, transformation, and the beauty of second chances. Now was their moment to shine. So don't wait. You need to subscribe now to our channel and not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the power of transformation. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about Jack and Emma's journey. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.